Hey guys, how's it going? It's Andy from MagooInvesting. Today we're going to be continuing the series, week number 3 of the Robinhood top stocks. Today we're going to be talking about Coca-Cola, ticker symbol KO. And before we get into that, I did say that I was going to be making a video this weekend talking about why I don't buy pharmaceutical companies, and I got a little caught up with life this weekend, so I'll be pushed back for next weekend. So I'm going to have more time to do some more research on it and make sure to get a better product out there. And before we get into it, I got to say I'm not a licensed financial advisor. Highly recommend talking to a professional, someone that give you the best advice and places to put your money and investments going forward. So Coca-Cola, ticker symbol KO, it's not exactly the type of stock that I like investing in. I mainly like going with growth stocks because the price movement allows me to swing trade some of the movements up and down. And when you have a stock like Coca-Cola that's kind of steadily been going up for a while, there's not as many small moves to be made. So just based off of that and the dividend that it gives, I believe it's around 3%, Coca-Cola isn't something that I'd be looking at right now, but as I diversify my portfolio in the future, it might be something to take a look at. It's been very steady over the past couple years. We'll talk about it on the charts in a little bit, but I do see a nice little channel play potentially. And with its track record, I think it's a decent stock to look at. And so with that being said, we're going to hop on over the computer right now, talk about any short or long-term potential plays I see with Coca-Cola going forward. And then at the end, we'll talk and look what the analysts say for these short, medium, and long-term plays as well. And then we'll kind of summarize what I think about Coca-Cola overall, and if I see any justification for taking a position in it going forward. All right, so here we are on Robinhood once again. Today we're going to be talking about Coca-Cola, ticker symbol KO. And so we go down right here, sitting at around $54, 52,000 people owning it with a 54% buy rating. And so it had a bad day, or not a bad day, 1.5% down on Friday, around the same for the week, a month, pretty even for 3 months, and then 1 year is up 16%, and then 5 years is up 30%. So let's see stuff here. Dividend yield of 3.3%, which is pretty decent. So as we go and take a look on TD Ameritrade, this is the 10-year chart. We can go back a little further and kind of see how it's been doing. But things have been going pretty well for a while. You have some variation going up and down every year. But the first thing that kind of caught my attention is the fact that it pushed up, gapped down on earnings, and then since then has been steadily going up. And so I drew this channel in here. Let's go to the shorter time frame. And so this is the first thing that I kind of noticed as a potential channel play here. And where it's sitting at right now, it is at the bottom of the channel. But one of the things I'm kind of worried about is that a majority of the times that it's tried to break out of the channel, it's been to the downside and not the upside. So it kind of feels like the stock price has been trying to fall at the bottom of the channel instead of struggling to push out the top. And so I don't know if there's any evidence saying that that's a negative thing for a long-term play. Just in my opinion, I like kind of the idea that the stock is trying to break out of the channel going up instead of just hoping it doesn't fall out when you take a position on it finally. And so it is sitting around there right now. It's been at this, let's see, this is at the beginning of the month, middle of the month, and then end of the month. It's been sitting right around here. It's already had earnings, so that wouldn't be a cause of alarm for me. Also, it's Coca-Cola. I don't know how much earnings taken into account. Actually, now that I look at it, very large candle here for earnings. Not that large here, very large. And then here looked pretty stable. So earnings are out of the way. Don't have to worry about that. And so one of the things that kind of worries me about Coca-Cola going forward is looking on this chart, things look like it's been moving up pretty steadily for the past 180 days. You had earnings back in February of this year that pushed it down. And then ever since then, it's pretty much been steadily going up. You've had some large price movement with earnings here. But besides that, it's been pretty steadily going up. And so that seems great. And you might be wondering, why would that be a negative thing? And the reason I think it might be kind of a caution sign for me is that when you look at its history over the years, it has been positive, but it has been pretty horizontal for a while and then all of a sudden just kind of took off. And so I don't do a lot of fundamental research. I don't know if anything's really changed with Coca-Cola, if they've restructured or anything. But for a company that's not known as being a growth stock, this kind of change of its price movement kind of worries me a little bit. I don't know if it'll fall out of the sky because obviously Coca-Cola is a very steady company. But for a non-growth stock moving this fast kind of has me throwing up a warning flag. And so for that reason, I think that maybe a short or medium term play will be out of the question for me. It probably is not going to fall 10% if I took a position right now. I just don't think it's my best opportunity moving forward. That being said, based off of the track record that Coca-Cola has had in the past of going from, let's see, this is July of 2010, was at $24, and now we're sitting at $54. It's had good returns, and it has a dividend as well. I think it's sitting around 3 point something percent. So that's decent, and for a kind of reliable large cap stock, this seems like a decent place to put your money. And now let's talk about what the analysts see. And so here we are on CNN, looking at the price forecast, sitting at 53.73 currently, and its price forecast for the upper range plus 17%, and the low range is down 3%. And this makes a lot of sense for a very stable company like Coca-Cola. As we saw from the charts, you have multiple years of positive growth, and the analysts don't see any reason for that to stop. And so that's why it has kind of a narrow range for its price forecast, but the median of it is 11.7% up. So looks good in that aspect. Up 13.5% year to date, sitting kind of near its 52-week range. I've talked about this in the past. If I was looking at a growth stock, would not like this because there's not a lot of room to go. But for a company that's steadily been going up and making new all-time highs, I like Coca-Cola for that aspect. Going over to Yahoo Finance, they currently have it as a hold for the analysts. And I think they're kind of thinking the same thing I am. I think it's overvalued. I think positive in the short term, down in the medium term, positive for the long term. And so short term, I talked about the potential channel. Let's go back and take a look at that. Shorten up this time frame. So the channel could see that as a short-term play. I don't like it that much, just based off of how the channel has been respected in the past. Medium term, there's a lot that can go, that can happen with this stock. I just don't see a super easy play going forward, so I'll stay clear of it because of that. And then long term, I agree with them based off of the track record that it's had of positive growth pretty much every year. It's Coca-Cola. It's a household name. It's one of the largest companies in the world. And so as a long-term bet, I would be pretty confident taking a position in here, but not the type of company I'm looking for right now. And so overall, Coca-Cola is a very reliable stock. It's one of these household names that are going to be here for a while, and I'd be pretty confident putting my money in there, come back in a couple years and have more money than I started with. However, that's not the type of investing I'm looking for right now. When you start out investing at a younger age, in my opinion, I think you should be more aggressive, because if you put in $1,000 and you only make 5% a year, it'll add up eventually. But when you're starting out fresh, I think it's a great time to learn, take risks, and figure out what you can do successfully and what you can't. And then one of the things that I'm kind of worried about with Coca-Cola is I feel like it's very overextended for the type of returns it's had in the past. And so when I went back on the chart and I looked at kind of how the stock had been moving over the past couple years, it was definitely positive, but it wasn't as steep as it's been for the past year. And that's kind of why I agree with Yahoo and the fact that I think it's overvalued. And for a short or medium term play, I'd be a little worried. Long term, I would probably feel pretty confident putting my money in there and having it be green in at least a year. But as I mentioned, that's not the type of plays I'm looking for. However, one of the things I do see is the potential of a channel play. The only thing I'm worried about that is I like getting a channel when it's touched both sides reliably, the top and the bottom of the channel. And kind of the way that I had it drawn on the computer, it's been touching the bottom a lot more than the top. And in my experience, you want it to be trying to bust through the top of the channel, not just struggling to stay in the channel from the bottom. And so I don't think it's going to fall out of the sky, fall out of that channel and just fall 15%, because it's Coca-Cola. It's a household name. It has enough of a trading volume where some large account coming in, selling the shares isn't going to shoot the stock price down a couple of percent. However, I just don't think that the channel play is reliable enough for me to warrant taking a position. And so overall, I've set some alerts on the computer in case stuff does happen with Coca-Cola that I want to take a look at later. Right now, I don't see a lot of attractive plays moving forward, but that doesn't mean if this alert goes off a couple months from now and it's fallen out of its channel, then I might see a play from there. So that's kind of the importance of setting these alerts so that you don't have to go and look at every stock every week to see if there's a potential play. You set these alerts, you forget about it until you're just hanging around one day, mind your own business, and then you see, oh, Coca-Cola broke through this level. And then you can go take a look at it, and then you can set more alerts. And so That's kind of the great thing about this series is I'm going through a lot of these companies that I would never really look at in the past because they're not exactly growth stocks or the attractive companies I like trading, but it's good to have all these potential plays, some of the plays that I could be doing for a long-term play and not really have to worry about it. Eventually, I'm going to start putting more money into the market and these long-term safer plays are going to be more attractive. But right now, not the type of play I'm looking for. So Coca-Cola overall, decent company. It's had great returns. I just think it's been moving a little too fast considering it's not a growth stock. So let me know what you think about Coca-Cola in the comments section down below. And if you have any other companies or ideas you'd like me to go over in a future video, please leave them in the comments section down below. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.